And good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. I'm Othor Cain. Glad to have you aboard on this Thursday evening, and it has been an incredibly busy day today. Spent a lot of time at the courthouse today. Spent a lot of time just doing some research and reading and all of that good stuff. It's been an extraordinarily busy day, and we're going to get to all of the happenings from today in just a little bit. So we want you to stick and stay. We do want to encourage folk to come on in as we prepare to have our conversation. But we will begin tonight with just a recap of the elections, right? Just a recap of the elections before we get to all of the breaking news for today. Let's just talk a little bit about the elections. To say that I am disappointed would be a severe understatement. To say that I'm disappointed would be a severe understatement. But I've had an opportunity to look at post-election data, and I promised that I wouldn't really talk about it until I could look at some data and look at some numbers and see what went wrong. And I did not give my producer this particular post, but I want to share it with you. And I'm going to read it. I'm going to try to find it. I do want to share it with you because it really kind of summed up a lot of what I was feeling, right? A lot of what I was feeling. And it may be a little bit maybe a little much, but I do want to share it, and then I'm going to put up a graphic so that we can talk about some areas. I know y'all have been waiting, and I promise you we're going to get to all of that in just a little bit. But listen, let's talk elections, and to say that I'm disappointed would be a complete understatement. Disappointed, but not deterred, right? Not dismayed, but yet extremely disappointed. And all you folk who are social media police and to try to tell me how to feel, I think you could go to hell, right? Because I don't think that you have the right to tell me or anybody else how we should feel. And I don't think that you have the right to tell me or anyone else when we should get over it and how we should move on and how we should process this. I'll tell you this first, right? I will no longer identify with the group of people of color because they're not like us. And Tony Yarber had to help me get to that place. I think that he made perfect sense. So I'm not going to dump myself in the category of a person of color. I'm a black man, and because they're not like us. They don't think like us. Their support went to Donald Trump. But listen to what a friend of mine posted. Gary Jones out of Oklahoma posted this, and I want to share it, and then we're going to put up the graphic, talk about that for a few moments, and then move on to the happenings of today that I know you're all waiting for. So Gary writes, please do not allow the results of this election to mislead you, regardless of your feelings on the outcome. The real story here is that tens of millions of people in this country saw your pain, commented on your post, wore t-shirts, claimed they saw you and heard you, and then went into the voting booths behind a private curtain or cardboard box and did everything in their power to ensure you experienced more of the same. Don't miss that. Don't miss that. Please do not allow the results of this election to mislead you. Regardless of your feelings on the outcome, the real story here is that tens of millions of people in this country saw your pain, commented on your post, wore t-shirts, claimed they saw and heard you, and then they went behind a private curtain or cardboard box to ensure you experienced more of the same. The real story is that they will now text, call, message, and smile at you after this ends as if nothing ever happened. Don't get it twisted. Candidates are politicians, but voters are our neighbors. Think about that. Think about that. Think about that. I said on yesterday that after looking at the data, I am sure that we would be able to. So can we go back to the top of that graphic? The top of that graphic, right there, right there. This is the one that I want to talk a bit about. And I said that after researching and analyzing the data, we will be able to identify two fractions of people: racist people and ignorant people. And I'll let you determine which group some of these people fall in. Sex by race, white men, 37% for Kamala Harris, 60% Donald Trump. White women, 45% Kamala Harris, 53% Donald Trump. That means white women lied to us. Right? I just want to be clear and call a spade, right? Disgusted by it. But here's another group that I'm disgusted with. So when people tell you black men don't fall prey, don't take any blame, you are partly to blame. Let's get that graphic back up. You are absolutely partly to blame. Black men, 77% to Kamala Harris. But black men, 21% to Donald Trump. 21%. That's too much. So for somebody to say, black men, don't you shoulder any blame? Don't you carry any guilt? Are you kidding me? 21% of black men voted for Donald Trump. Now, black women, you can take your rest. I wouldn't get involved in another movement or anything at this point. 91% went to Kamala Harris. 7% went to Donald Trump. Latino men, 43% Kamala Harris. 55% Donald Trump. Men, Latino men, 55% to Donald Trump. Latino women, 60% to Kamala Harris, 38% to Donald Trump. 38% to Donald Trump. Ridiculous, right? Ridiculous, right? So don't lump me in the group people of color. They're not like us. They don't think like us, right? Mm-mm, mm-mm. No, black women, take your rest. So at the end of the day, this race was about gender and race, right? Gender and race. At the end of the day, that's what this election was about. Gender and race. And Vice President Harris lost some key Democratic strongholds. Like she didn't do well, as Biden did, with the Latino community. She didn't do as well as Biden did with the young people. Right? She didn't. Right? We're gonna get to Jody Owen, so y'all hang tight. We're gonna get to all of that, but let's deal with this for right now. We're gonna get to all of that in just a moment. Here's what I'm telling you: we've got to call a spade when it comes to this election. With what happened on Tuesday, the race was about gender and race. Men, Latino men, black men, right? You're saying that women can't lead. You can't be under the leadership of a woman. It's utterly ridiculous to me. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. You know? And maybe this is just me. Maybe it's just me. But I didn't see, and maybe it's just me, and I'll take blame for it if it is just me. I'll own it. I'll own it. I'll absolutely own it if it's just me. But I didn't see our black male leadership really stump for Kamala Harris. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I didn't see the likes of James Clyburn in South Carolina, how he pulled South Carolina in for Donald Trump and really saved the day 4 years ago. I didn't see that for Kamala Harris. Now, maybe I missed it. I didn't see it. I didn't feel the energy. I didn't feel the support. And it wasn't just him. Lots of. I remember even when she first, it was first announced that she was running. I remember how some of these black men, Hakeem Jeffries being one of them, I remember the hoops that they wanted her to jump through to get their support. And now the Democratic Party is at this fraction, at this intersection of no leader. Biden is out, don't have a national leader, right? Harris lost. Who? Where does the Democratic Party go now? What happens? What happens? It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. It's extremely, extremely sad. There was a large percentage of black people in the state of Pennsylvania that did not support Vice President Harris. Large percentage of black folk in Pennsylvania that did not support Vice President Harris. And folk are saying, had she named, what's the name, Superior, whatever his name is, the governor there, she would have fared better in Pennsylvania. Well, I'm of the mindset, and I understand why she didn't pick him, and I agree with her not picking him. I think he's a sharpshooter, quick wit, great speaker, and all of that, but I understand why she didn't pick him, because you don't need your number two wanting to be number one while you're number one. We have to learn to play our positions, right? So you don't need your number two wanting and fiending and gunning for becoming number one. It just would not have worked. Just would not have worked. And let's put that graphic up one more time. And I just want you to see this as we move into the rest of the news for the night. Look at this. 21% of black men voted for Donald Trump. 21%. 21%. So, Kenny, I don't know anything about the ballot box that got burned up. I missed that one. I'm sorry. And about that 30,000 box that was left open. I really can't speak to that. I am not privileged to that. I miss all of that. You know, I missed all of that. I honestly had to unplug for a little while. So I missed that. And I apologize that I cannot come in or speak to that because I absolutely missed it. All right. So that's where we are, disappointing. And then here locally, I'm going to say this and then we'll move on. Locally, local election. Why is Jim Kitchens in a runoff? Why is Jim Kitchens in a runoff with this woman? I have got to believe that Ceola James, or whatever her name is, though she has every right to run, I've got to believe that she's a paid operative. Right? I've got to believe that. She got 30,000 votes. Had Justice Kitchens gotten those votes, he would have won outright. There were, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people in that race. Why? Why? Because there are folk who are hell-bent on getting Jim Kitchens out. And that lady didn't care if she won outright on Tuesday. Her goal was to get to a runoff. If I could just get to a runoff. She didn't care about winning outright on Tuesday. Her goal was to get to a runoff with Jim Kitchens. That was her goal. And by putting these black folk in to pull black votes away, right? To pull black votes away. It's really sad that we will stoop to the level of being paid to do that. And I don't know if she's a paid operative or not, but that's my belief. That's my belief. And to me, that's extraordinarily sad. It's extremely sad. Jim Kitchens should not be in a runoff. He has served this state well, particularly to people of color, black folk. I gotta get my mind right and stop saying people of color because I'm so mad with them. They're not like us. I'm so mad. So I gotta change my mindset. All right. So the runoff is in 2 weeks. We've got to go back. We've got to right this wrong, right? And I believe that Hines County Court Judge race is also heading to a runoff with Bridget Morgan and Yemi Kings. I believe that is headed to a runoff. Those numbers were shocking to me. They were shocking to me. I certainly think Attorney Morgan worked hard, and I certainly think that she was aided with the influx of black women going to the polls, fueled by Kamala Harris. I think all those things worked in her favor, but it appears that she did not get 50% plus the one vote that was needed to win the race outright. So it appears that they are headed to a runoff. I think that they're still counting, but it appears that they are headed to a runoff. All right, let's get to what you are here for and what you've been waiting for. Let's get to the hot news of the day. Lots of court appearances today. Let's start with Marshawn Crystal. We're going to talk about Chokwe Lumumba. We're going to talk about Jody Owens. We're going to talk about Aaron Banks. But Marshawn Crystal also made a court appearance today. Today was day 2 of his trial. I don't really have exactly what happened in the courtroom with him today, but he did pause and talk to some reporters today. Let's take a listen.
Former Hinds County Sheriff and former Jackson City Councilman is now underway.
Yeah, opening statements came today shortly after the jury was seated in the trial of Marshawn Crysler. Crysler is accused of accepting thousands of dollars in bribes from a convicted felon and violating the law when he bought the convict ammunition for a weapon. That felon was identified as nightclub owner Tanari Moore. We caught up with Chrysler this afternoon during a break in the trial. Chrysler told 16 WAPT he didn't know Moore was a convict.
Mr. Chrysler, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, my attorney to speak for me, Ross.
Yeah, Mr. Coletti did say that you're taking it day by day. How are you feeling?
I feel good. I've been in the criminal justice system all my adult life, quite frankly, and this is the system, and this is the process.
You've never been in the system, though, as a defendant?
No, sir. I mean, it's still part of the process, quite frankly, and I support the entire process. But for anything else, like I said, I'll defer to my attorney, though. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
5 months ago, Moore was arrested in connection with the murder of Larry Reynolds in Jackson. Reynolds' body has never been found. Moore is expected to take the witness stand for prosecutors. Chrysler's attorney said he'll also testify in his own defense to refute prosecutors' allegations. Testimony resumes tomorrow at 9 in the morning.
These are extremely sad times in the city of Jackson and across Hinds County. Now let's move on. We're going to follow that. I'm going to try to get to the courtroom on tomorrow and follow that. Let's get to other pressing breaking news tonight. 3 additional people have been indicted in the bribery scandal that's happening right here in Jackson, Mississippi. We'll begin with Mayor Othor Lumumba, who attempted to get ahead of the media on yesterday by releasing his own video statement about his indictment, saying that he was informed by his legal team. Truth is, though, all of them knew that they were going to be indicted this week. So he wasn't just informed on Tuesday or whenever he released that video. Truth is, all of them knew that it was going to happen this week. I want to play Mayor Othor Lumumba's recorded message that he distributed to the media.
Jackson residents, it is with great disappointment that I come before you. My legal team has informed me that federal prosecutors have, in fact, indicted me on bribery and related charges. To be clear, I have never accepted a bribe of any type. As mayor, I have always acted in the best interest of the citizens of Jackson. We believe this to be a political prosecution against me, primarily designed to destroy my credibility and reputation within the community. There is no coincidence in its timing being just before the upcoming mayoral race. My legal team will vigorously defend me against these charges. Again, while I am disappointed, I am not deterred. So I ask for your patience and your prayers during this process. Thank you.
Here's what I would say to you. If this was any regular situation, most public relations professionals would indeed advise their clients to get ahead of the story. If this was any regular situation, most PR professionals would advise their clients to make a statement, get ahead of the story, put out the fire. However, that one fell flat when you look at the indictment. Let me just pause because we're going to play his reaction to the media today. We're going to play that clip in just 1 second. That's up next. But let me pause, set the stage just a little bit before we go any further. I get absolute no pleasure having to do stories like this. I get absolutely zero pleasure having to do stories like this because it really does cast a dark cloud on this city, on this county, on this state, and it casts a dark cloud on us as a race of people. These people that we elect to office, they are our friends, family, neighbors, church members, folk we kick it with, folk we hang out with. We know them, we've known them, right? We bump into them at the grocery store, we go to church with them. And so when you look at all of that and you weigh all of that, there's no glory in that. There's no glory into doing stuff like this because we know these people. But here's what I would tell you. Even in that, grown people make choices, make decisions. Young people make choices, make decisions, right? Make choices and decisions. And I do a workshop, and I toyed with this today. It weighed heavy on me all day today about how I would present this, and God led me here. I do a seminar for young people, and could do it for adults as well. But I do a seminar for young people called Choices and Consequences, right? Called Choices and Consequences. And for every choice that we make, good, bad, or indifferent, for every choice that we make, there's a consequence that comes along with that. There's a consequence. For every choice that we make, there is a consequence. Right? I'll say this to you as well. When the feds come a knocking, usually their case is airtight. When the feds come a knocking, usually their case is airtight. I'm going to get into the specifics of this indictment in just a second. First, though, let's play the video of the mayor's response to the media today. Looks like we might be having some technical difficulties in terms of pulling that video. So let's delve into this indictment. This indictment is 32 pages. This indictment is 32 pages. And when you read it, and I've read it, some of it's hard to digest, but I've read it. It is almost, in my mind, right? In my mind, it is almost asinine to say that you didn't do something when it's on video, when there are pictures and all of that stuff. It's almost asinine, but I get this. Listen, here's what I get for sure. I absolutely get wanting to fight. Look at this picture that appears that the mayor is accepting checks. That's what it appears. That's what this picture shows. That picture indicates that you got the money. Now you're calling. Right? Now you're making a call to the planning director to change the dates. That's how this comes across. That's the appearance. The Bible talks about the very appearance of wrongdoing, right? Look at this picture. The picture before, it appears that you are accepting checks, right? It means that you are accepting checks. After the check acceptance, you make a phone call. And the picture suggests that you are making a call after having accepted money. This indictment is 32 pages, and it is so deep, and there's so many things, so much that I want to pull away from it. I toyed with what parts do I highlight? What do I say? What parts do I? And while I think all of it is absolutely important, all of it is absolutely important, but there are some portions of it. Oh my God! Oh my God! So today, as you know, Chokwe Antar Lumumba, Jody Owens, and Aaron Banks. And so my theory about co-conspirator A, co-conspirator B, and all of that turned out to be extremely factual. Again, the feds have a 95%, I think I saw that, a 95% conviction rate, right? It's hard to suggest that you didn't do something when it is documented. Let me find the part that I want to just get to really quickly from this indictment, because it's so much. It is absolutely so much. It is so much. I wanna read something that Owens said. Let me read this. So during Owens's re-election victory party on November 7th, 2023, upon being congratulated by the developers, Owens responded unprompted that his position as district attorney was, quote, the part-time job. The full-time job is developing. This, he says, is the part-time job to get leverage for the full-time job. This is the part-time job to get the conversations and access. Access equals the other shit, excuse my French, we're trying to do, end quote. I don't know how you move beyond that. The following day, on November 8th, 2023, the developers met with Owens, Smith, and Witness One in the back room of a company. During that meeting, Owens and Smith negotiated an upfront payment of $250,000 to be paid to Owens, Smith, and Witness One for their roles in assisting the developers. Owens and Smith were to be paid $100,000 each, while Witness One was to be paid $50,000. Listen to me. This is extremely, extremely, extremely disturbing. On or about December 13th, 2023, Owens, Smith, and Witness One traveled via a private jet paid for by the FBI on behalf of the developers to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for a meeting with the developers. That evening, Owens met with the developers in a private room on a yacht. During the meeting, the developers asked Owens how he wanted to receive his payment. Owens responded that cash was easier and that he had brought a bag on the trip specifically for that purpose. I don't know if we have the photo of him with the bag. Developer 2 then gave Owens $125,000 in cash to be split by Owens between himself, Smith, and witness 1. After receiving the $125,000, Owens explained his value to the developers. Listen to this, quote, "I'm not trying to overemphasize this, you guys, but my ability to prosecute people, there's only one me. So right now, every police agency comes to us, everybody needs something, every file comes to us, everybody needs something fixed," end quote. And I'm just going to say this. You're innocent until proven guilty. I get it. You're innocent until proven guilty, and I get it. But this line here, everybody needs something fixed. I'm not trying to overemphasize this, you guys, but my ability to prosecute people, there's only one me. So right now, every police, if there's that bag for the money, look at that photo right there. There's that bag for the money. Every police agency comes to us. Everybody needs something. Every file comes to us. Everybody needs something fixed. Let me pause, because this is heartbreaking. This is sad. Now, let me tell you something. Every case that office, that's another photo that we want to pay some attention to, and we'll get to it in a minute, because that's a disguise for where the money is being held. But listen to me. I want to make this point. Every case that Owens or anybody in his office has tried in the past, and every case going forward, should be re-examined. Because every single case at this point is in question. Every single case is in question. And I'm telling you, from my perspective, I don't have a legal mind as far as I could see. Don't have one at all. Not in the least. Not in the least. But every case that Owens or any of his assistant DAs have been connected to, every case is in question. Every single one of them is in question. And it is my belief, and this is just me, for the good of this county, right? For the good of this county, for the integrity, the little integrity that's left in that DA's office, for the good of this county and for the integrity of that office, I believe it is important that Jody Owens steps aside, because every case that he's ever had his hands on, and any assistant DA that has worked for him, it's in question, every one. After receiving the $125,000, Owens explained his value to the developers. I'm not trying to overemphasize this, you guys, but my ability to prosecute people, there's only one me. So right now, every police agency comes to us. Everybody needs something. Every file comes to us. Everybody needs something fixed. My God. Every case that has come through that office is in jeopardy. It's in question. And I, at this point, don't think that he can lead. At this juncture, for the good, you know how they say in meetings and church meetings and other meetings, for the good of the body, for the good of the body. I just don't think Jody Owens can lead that office. Every question in the past. And there's so many cases, every case in the past. And there's so many cases that I can bring up and talk about. There's so many, so many going through my mind right now, you know. And I'll just say this one, just this one. Tyler, you're absolutely correct, my brother. But you're absolutely correct. Can't have the person who is prosecuting people operate like this. Tyler, capitalism is going to be the death of us as a people, and we'll throw each other under the bus just to attain it. Let me say this, because there's so many cases that I can point out. So many. But the way my brother's case was handled, y'all know who I'm talking about, Anthony Fox. The way that case was handled, this speaks volumes. This speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. You cannot toy with people's lives. You just can't do it, man. You just can't do it. And I don't want to get too personal because everybody know how I feel about the Fox family, and everybody know my position with how that case was handled. You know, it was wrong. It was absolutely wrong. And it's not just my man Fox. Every single case in my mind should be questioned. It's in jeopardy. There are a couple of others that I could point out, but I'm going to move on. Listen to this one. On or about January 10th, 2024, the developers met with Owens and Smith at Owens' private office in Jackson. Owens referred to that office as his war room. There, Owens informed the developers that the city of Jackson would soon issue an RFQ for the downtown development project. The developers expressed interest in obtaining the downtown development project for themselves and noted their desire to secure the long-term support of the city council. In response, Owens stated that they would need to avoid paying the city council members too much money up front. Specifically, Owens said, I don't know if you've been around addicts before, right? You can't give them a little blow, a little blunt, a little drink. No, I'm sorry. You can give them a little blow, a little blunt, a little drink. But if you give them a case of whiskey and you give them a kilo of coke and you give them a MFing pound of weed, they will die. This is awful. This is awful. This is awful. It appears that Owens comes across as the mastermind, right? In the grand scheme of things, that's how it appears. Let's get to this one, because Owens is not in this alone, not by any stretch of the imagination. And this one breaks my heart too. So the next night, on January 11th, 2024, the developers met with Owens, Smith, and Banks in the back room of Company A. There, Owens had a sidebar conversation with Banks in which Owens told Banks that he would tell the developers to pay Banks $25 now and $25 later. Owens then dismissed Banks from the table and privately informed the developers of Banks' demand. While Banks was absent, Owens also stated, "We never give them the asking price. I buy that, I buy cars, I buy cows. So I buy the P word, I buy cars, I buy cows, I buy drugs, whatever." My point is, like banks need 50, you get 30. He gets installments. That's my game. Some people will overpay and say, "I'm the guy who needs more." Some people will choose who to pay. He wants 50. We'll give him 15 this year and 15 next year. When Banks rejoined the meeting, developer 2 asked him what he would need to support the developers moving forward. Banks responded that 50 grand as soon as possible would help. Let me tell you something. I have known Aaron Banks for a very long time, and I've been extremely close with Aaron Banks. And this is difficult for me. This is really, really, really difficult for me. This is tough. This is tough, man. This is tough. But I will be honest with all of you and transparent with all of you, because I did say this. I did say this to Banks. I said this to Banks, and this is a very transparent moment. I said to him, "Bro, I know when you pull away, you go ghost, you go silent, something is going on. Something is happening. Let me say this," and I said this to him. When Banks changed his position on that garbage contract, I knew something had happened. I don't know how many of you really followed my coverage on that garbage contract, but I was with Banks. I promoted Banks. I lifted up his position. I had him on all of my shows, and we talked about this because I thought that he was making the right decision for the people. And I thought that it was going to be difficult for a while getting through garbage not being picked up. But I thought that he was making the right decision because I thought at the time that his decision was about the people. Tell me, this ain't the time for "I told you, bro." Let's not do that. Banks's position at that time for me was the right position, and I maintained that. Ashby Foote didn't change his position. He and Banks were on the same team. Ashby didn't change his position. Vernon Hartley didn't change his position. Kenneth Stokes didn't change his position. Banks changed his position. He flipped. And it was at that moment when he left that courtroom, because they met with the judge in his chambers to work it all out. It was at that moment when he changed his vote on that garbage contract. I said to him, something is not right. Ashby Foote was steadfast in his position. Vernon Hartley was steadfast in his position. Kenneth Stokes was steadfast in his position on the garbage contract. Banks flipped. Banks changed. He changed his position. Banks changed his position on the garbage piece. Banks became president of the city council. I won't argue that I thought Banks was a great president of the council. You know, if anybody reads and studies, Robert's rules and all of that, Banks knew it. But it was at that point that I knew. Had no idea all of this was going to come and follow. Had no idea. I would be lying if I said I knew this was going to be the outcome. I would be lying. But what I did know was that something was wrong. Something had happened. Something influenced Banks to change his vote, to change his position. To change his position with that garbage contract. Something happened. And it was more than, it was beyond we needed our garbage picked up. Because they could have held on. For the record, if I'm honest, for the record, I still believe Waste Management should be picking up the garbage in Jackson. My position has not changed. I've never wavered from that position. I still believe Waste Management should have the garbage contract in the city of Jackson. I still believe that. I still believe that. It wasn't broken. It wasn't broken at all. But it was honestly, and I had to pray and think, it was honestly at that point when Banks changed his position on the garbage contract, that our relationship, my relationship with Banks, it was at that point that our relationship began to fade. And I was sad. I like Banks, still like him, still support him. I sent him praying hands today, right? But that's when our relationship changed. I absolutely believe that Waste Management should have the garbage contract in Jackson. It was not broken. All the lies about not having Black vendors involved, just a lie, just a smokescreen. But I knew at that point something was wrong. Had no idea it would result in this, but I knew something was wrong. Let's get on because we're running out of time. On February 12, 2024, Owens arranged a dinner for himself, Lumumba, Smith, and the developers. During Owens' introduction of the developers to Lumumba, Owens stated, "I've done background checks. They're not FBI, by the way." Owens also explained to Lumumba that the developers had shifted their focus to the RFP, RFQ related to the convention hotels. Now, I have so many questions there. And I guess I'm answering the questions as I'm thinking about it now. But I have so many questions there. But let's go on. Following dinner, Owen Smith and developers went to the back room of Company A's place of business. There, they discussed how they would continue to secure the support of the city council. Developer 2 expressed concern that they still did not have enough votes secured. In a response, Owen stated that the following day he would get the developers 3 more votes. Owens explained that the developers already had the leadership through Lumumba and Banks, and that he would next get the developers the pawns. Owens also explained that because public officials finance their personal lives through their campaign accounts, campaign contributions were the most effective way to influence them, so long as the money came from within the state of Mississippi. To that end, Owen said that to clean the money, he planned to deposit all cash provided to him by the developers into a bank account owned by a Mississippi company. Now, reading that, guys, and I got to tell you, and so we'll have to do a part two, and I may do a special tomorrow. But reading that, it's almost contradictory with him saying, I did the background check. They're not FBI agents. But he's operating as if it's wrong, right? That is money laundering, right? Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on. I don't know that they can bounce back from this. I don't know that they can. I think that's a broad statement. I don't know that they can bounce back. I don't know. That sounds wrong. You said you did a background check and they're not FBI agents. But it sounds like you're doing wrong. You're talking about cleaning money. Owen stated this, and this is where we're going to cut off. And I'm going to use the exact language. Well, maybe not all of it. Maybe not all of it. I'm gonna listen to this, and we're going to stop here. Again, to that end, Owen said that to clean the money, he planned to deposit all cash provided to him by the developers into a bank account owned by a Mississippi company. Owens then stated, I don't give a blank where the money comes from. It can come from blood diamonds in Africa. I don't give a effing, you know what. I'm a whole DA. F that, you know what. My job, as I understand it, with a little paperwork, is to get this deal done and get it done most effectively. We can take, listen to this, we can take dope boy money. I don't give a blank, but I need to clean it and spread it. I can do it in here. That's why we have businesses, to clean the money, right? I don't give a blank. You give us cash, we deposit it and give it back that way. That's easy. Yo, I'm struggling, man. I'm struggling. But you plead not guilty. All three of you. You plead not guilty. And you're laying out the wrongdoing. You're laying it out. Your conversation is all about wrong. So I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to stop right there because it's 9 o'clock and we really could go on, 2 hours. but we'll do another part. Let me say this to you. Hold on, just 1 second. Let me just look at something. Let me look at something really quick, and then I will make my closing statements. Let me just look at something really quick, and then I will make my closing statement. So listen, let me say this. Latasha Holmes said, let's do 30 more minutes. Oh, listen. And I really said that I probably would go over tonight, but this is tough. This is tough. Let- Man, Ryan, you are roving. Ross, how much we got to send to get past page 7, bro? This is a lot, and actually, that's all up to page 9 right there, and there's so much more, and it gets deeper, y'all. It gets deeper. That's only up to page 9, and we've exhausted I could go a few more minutes, but we're gonna end there. I'm gonna do another part. I promise you before maybe tomorrow. But before Tuesday for sure, because we're going to get through the whole thing, because I believe that we owe it to ourselves to fully understand and to fully talk about how we move forward, how we get through all of this. And so here's what I want to say as we prepare to leave. Here's what I want to say as we prepare to leave. But I do, Ryan, to your point, I do appreciate all of your support. It takes time, effort, and all of that, and research and resources to get this done. So if you are inclined, please feel free to donate to us. We certainly do. Would appreciate it. We certainly appreciate it. We would appreciate any donation. And my Cash App is scrolling across the screen, $ Othor Cain. If you're so inclined, to help us with our efforts, I'm grateful. Let me say this as we prepare to get out of here. I take absolutely no pleasure in having to report this. I do believe, though, God has gifted me with this platform and this ability to share where we are not bound like regular news organizations are bound. Time constraints, we're not bound by that. This is a self-imposed time constraint. So I believe that we have a responsibility to share, because everybody, you can't get all the information in a 30-second soundbite, minute, 90-second soundbite. You just can't get everything in. And I take this responsibility very serious, and I appreciate your trust, your faith, your confidence. When the news started breaking yesterday, people started calling in, asking, are you going to go live? Are you going to talk about it tonight? I was like, no, we're going to stick within our planned time. So I appreciate your support. I do. But listen, this is a sad day for our city. It's a sad day for our city. It's a sad day for our county. And I know that the humanistic thing to do is to compare. I get it. I know that the humanistic thing to do is to compare. What about Brett Favre? What about all these people caught up, in the DHS scandal? I get all of that. Right? I get all of that. And I get why you would do that. I get all of that. I get all of that. Why are they moving so fast with the 3 people on your screen now and the others that have been indicted and brought forth? Why are they moving so fast in this case? That's a natural question to ask. I think it's okay to ask that. But this is totally different. Listen to me. We can't blame anybody but ourselves. We can't blame anybody but ourselves, right? So thank you for that graphic. I was going to ask you to put those three up, and we'll share those at the end. We can't blame anybody but ourselves. This is where we are. This is where we are. This is no conspiracy. This is no personal prosecution, as the mayor alluded to. It's not that. It's not that. This is not an attempt to destroy anybody's character. It's not an attempt to sabotage an election. This is not that. What it is a sad day in Jackson, a sad day in Hinds County. And I don't think any of us should take any pleasure in the downfall of any man, any woman. Don't take any pleasure in that, none whatsoever. I do, though, think that grown folk that are elected to office, that hold positions, are in positions to lead. Charles Evers said a long time ago that we've got to stop electing broke people. We got to stop electing broke people. I didn't understand it then. I understand it now. The temptation becomes too great. The temptation becomes too great. But that's not Jody's excuse or his situation in terms of being broke. That's greed. That's power. Broke folk, greedy folk, corrupt folk. We've got to stop voting for families and names and stuff like that. We got to stop being guided by that. We've got to stop being guided by that. We've got to stop electing broke folk because the temptation becomes too powerful. Greed, greedy people, folk with checkered past. We got to stop. We've got to stop. This is a sad time in our city. And so I want to leave you with the charges of these three individuals, and we'll pick up again either tomorrow, for sure Monday, if we don't get it on before. But for sure Monday, we'll do a special. In fact, yes. So these are Othor Lumumba's charges: conspiracy, federal program bribery, use of interstate facility in aid of racketeering, honest services wire fraud, and money laundering. Jody Owens: conspiracy, federal program bribery, use of an interstate facility in aid of racketeering, honest services wire fraud, money laundering, false statements. And Aaron Banks: conspiracy, federal program bribery. So Jody Owens was indicted on 8 counts, Othor Lumumba on 5 counts, and Aaron Banks on 2 counts. All right, guys. That's our broadcast for tonight. Thank you all for sharing with us. Thank you for your support. We'll figure out how to do another special. If not tomorrow, Monday, for sure. All right? Have a great evening. Let's pray for our city. Let's pray for these elected officials, especially their families, their children. Pray, man, pray. Don't rejoice here. Don't rejoice here. It's not a time to say I told you so. It's not a time to say I got you. It's not even really a time to say, karma is a bee. I get how easy that is to do. But let's pray for these folks and their families. Yes, I do think that they've got to face their demons. They've got to face the consequences of their choices. I absolutely believe that. But pray for them. Pray for their families, especially those with little children, man. Pray for them. Because they've got to have those conversations, with their family members, with their children. Pray for them. Yep, and there's absolutely, Layla. And their spouses. Pray for their families. Got to do it. All right? Thank you guys for being with us tonight. I appreciate your support. From all of us here at the Othor Cain Show. Have a great night.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
You've never done anything unlawful. Whatever it's not.
Anything about the indictment,
You've
Mayor?
got no faith.
Did you take thousands of process? Do you have anything to say to the citizens of Jackson?
And if not, why not?
Any comment today? Any comment about this forming indictment against you as the mayor and the council of Bank?
Tony, as the prosecutor, do you have anything to say about the charges against you?
Council Bank, do you have anything to say to your constituents? Council Bank, do you have anything to say to your constituents on the charges you've been indicted on?
Get him out of here.
Oh, you want
This is my husband. I don't care. Get him out of here, okay? Put that down. That's my husband. That's my husband. We need to get him out of here. He needs to put it down. We need to get him out of here.